Okay, here we are back inside MatrixGold once again. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you find the videos useful and helpful in your designing process. If you do, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tap on that bell for notifications for further content. Leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you and your thoughts and any videos that you would like to see or content that you'd like to see in the future. Also, share the content for others to be able to help others. And if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, you can go down and around in this area just below the video and tap on that thanks button and super thanks and buy me a cup of coffee. And actually, I have one right in front of me again. Also, I do have some links for some jewelry content in the description below, so please check those out if you're interested in jewelry equipment. And there are some printers in there as well. But anyway, let's move on. Mastering MatrixGold, a smooth transition from Matrix. Our second session will be on February 13th, 2024, this year, of course, at 11 a.m. So just coming up quickly. I'll post a registration link in the description below, so please go ahead and hit that and sign up. This one will be only available for attendees that have a MatrixGold Academy subscription. So if you have an Academy subscription, please go ahead and register. Would love to see on the February 13th, Tuesday, 11 o'clock. And please, if you do come in from watching this content or this YouTube channel, please leave a comment in the live show's comments, and we will actually have somebody there to help with answering all the questions in the comments. So please keep those pouring in. This session will be going over a lot about the gumball. We're going to go in pretty deep into the gumball and talk about it quite a bit. And then we are going to actually be importing some things from M9 into MG in order to showcase some of those features, that things that we can do. And there's some hidden things in there that I think we're going to pop in. And then also we're going to actually start talking about designing parametrically and what that's all about and how it's done and how you can easily relate to it and what to think about and stuff like that. So it's going to be a pretty in-depth session. So please, if you're available and you have a MatrixGold Academy subscription, please go ahead and tap that link below and register. You will need to register for the event, and it's coming up quickly, so please do that now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about today's content. Today what we're going to do is kind of look at the texturing a little bit, right, in our tools, 3D, texture 3D, but maybe we're going to go into it a little bit more different approach, I think. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and grab a ring rail, no big deal there. I'll right click, accept that as a size 7 so we can get going on this thing. And then I'll go ahead and add a profile, and I want to add a profile that has kind of some sharp edges so that we can just do a texturing on certain areas of it, right? And right here we have one that has some sharp edges right here on the top, and then we got a nice comfort fit there. So this one will probably work out good. So let's go ahead and select this one. I'll take that. And now what I'm going to do is go over here and go into my editor, right? So a profile editor in our dynamics command. This is our profile library, and our editor is right next to it. I'm going to go here and do some manipulation to this profile a little bit. First thing I want to do is make sure my grid snaps are on, and I'm going to go to a 0.1 in order to just get the most detail out of it. So I'm just going to click here and then drag it over, and it's locked into 0.1, so just go straight across. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and select this curve, and I'll split it with this curve here, and then hit enter, and I'll get rid of this and get rid of that. Now I'm going to go in here and just draw me a line down, and I want my, I can manipulate this. I don't want it real thin, right? My texture, I want it kind of fairly deep, so I'm going to take it down, maybe down to around here, and then I'll just click on that one, and then I'll mirror it over to the other side. And I'll go back to my line command and then just snap from there to there, right? And then what I'll do is just go ahead and select everything, and I'll join it together. And as you can see, it's already out there, right? That same shape I have in my editor, right? It automatically updates in my viewport. Now I could go ahead and save this if I want to use this for future to my library, or I can just, for one-time use, just go ahead and hit the check mark, and that's what I'm going to do for this particular video here, right? I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to go ahead and maybe bump this out to 5 just to give it a little bit more. 5.5 is fine. A little bit more width, right? And then I'm going to drag it up maybe around, I don't know, 2. We'll go 2.5. And then instead of doing the sweep and everything, we don't have to do that anymore. We can, if we want it to go all the way around closed, right? We can just go down here to activate auto sweep and smash that thing there and give it some shading, and I'll right click accepting our items. So we have this out here. All right. And it's just a little band, and we're going to add a texture to it. So we're going to go in here well, actually what we're going to do is go to our transform, and we're just going to grab an auto base, and we're just going to take that right out of the center there. Go ahead and hit enter, and I'm going to do this step. You don't have to. It's just something I like to do, keep everything centered. And this time, normally I would go ahead and change it to a ground plane. I'm just going to go ahead and leave this one yellow for this video here. And okay, so we have our ground plane with this section right through here, right? Now what I'm going to do is go ahead, and I have my Rhino commands already out there. If you do not have them out there, I should probably show this just to make sure everybody has them. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And if you don't have your Rhino options out, you know, a lot of people like to have them, some people don't. All you have to do is go to the command line, type in options, and hit enter, and your Rhino options will pop up. We'll go to toolbars, we'll select default, and we'll just scroll down here to our tab for toolbar 16. And since we're here, I might as well show, because I've seen some comments, where do you get your sub D comment? They're in the same place. You just kind of go scroll down to sub D tools and click there, and there they are, right? I'm just going to go ahead and delete that one. We don't need that for this video. So there I have my tools selected. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And then I'm going to drag it and just drop it right up there, and I'm going to select on my options the kind of color wheel type thing, right? The properties panel. And I'm going to go ahead and select on this, and this will pop up, right? And automatically you'll have different options here for rendering and all kind of other texturing and all kind of other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a displacement to this surface here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and do a displacement, and it says click here to assign texture. That's what we're going to do. We're going to click there, and we're going to create a new texture. And for this one, we're just going to do something very, very simple, and we'll just go to this granite because it kind of gives us a nice nuggety type look, right? And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to run a nuggety type texture on this item here, right? And then what we need to do is go ahead to this box here and click on it, and it will put it out there. And you're saying nuggety, that doesn't look like any nuggety texture I've ever seen. Right? And that's probably because we have it set to medium, and the Rhino gods say that keeping it on medium to high maybe is better for making adjustments, and then changing it to a higher item later is probably best. But you can see now it changes, and we have more of a nuggety type somewhat right now. But you can do all kinds of crazy things with this, and we're going to dive into that actually. So we're going to go ahead and switch that back to a medium so we can make some adjustments on it, right? And then we'll come back and kind of play back and forth to see what kind of texture we really want to get on this puppy here. And we're going to show ways to adjust it. So stick around. We're going to go ahead and go to this pencil, which is edit, and we're going to click on that edit there, right? And it gives us this editing for our texture that we have out there, right? Now here we have two different colors. We have a black, and we have a kind of a gray type look, right? And actually, let me go ahead and cancel this because I want to get in here so we can kind of show this a little bit set this up. Now I'll go back to my texture so we can kind of keep an eye on it, right? Now, if I come over here, my black is my bottom part, and my gray is my top part, right? Meaning the gray are these highlighted or raised areas, and the black are pretty much way down there at the surface, right? So if I want to adjust this size of these offsets inside my texturing, I can go in here and just click on my gray and say I want to make it shorter, right? I can make, you can see right here, I have, you can't see it's the same color right at the moment, but when I start dragging this around, you'll see this one change. So if I drag that down, it's getting darker and darker and darker, right? So now if I go ahead and click OK, it darkens this up. And if I hit OK here, watch the top parts of this, right? It'll drop down, right? So you can adjust the height by playing around with these items here, right? Maybe you don't want that depth so high, so you can drag that to a higher offset color, right? But we're not going to mess around with that one right now. We're just going to play around with this top one here. If you want it real pronounced, the highest it'll go, you can change them all to white and go ahead, hit enter, and then hit OK, and you can see it pops them up quite large, right? And what it's doing is it's changing our depth in here. So if we look at we have a look view here, right? So let's go back. This is kind of important to kind of just be able to understand. So I'm spending a little bit more time on it than you probably hopefully already have a grasp, but I just want to kind of play around with it to really show it off. So we have it gray here. We're going to go ahead and take it and then hit. Now you can see it drops, right? But still doesn't give us any kind of nuggety texture, right? But, you know, again, if we go back to our extreme high, and this will take a while because extreme high is really putting some polygons out there. So, you know, you can see, right? All right, so let's switch it back again to a medium here. Now let's go back here, and we have all kind of options. Right now we are running a repeat of 1, so it's just 1 and 1 and going in both directions, right? And if I was to go ahead and click this one and hit 3 and enter, they all change, right? If I change it back to 1 and they hit it, enter, they all change back to 1, right? Okay. So we don't want to change them in all directions, actually. Okay. The V, I think 1 is probably fine for the texture that we want to maybe apply to it. So we're just going to change the U direction. So this direction, we're going to add more in there. We're just going to break this. So now it's broken, right? So I can change this to maybe, I don't know, let's just say 10. And then go ahead and hit OK. And now it really is getting crazy on me, right? And if I go over here to my medium and I change it up to a very high, now I am getting a nice little nuggety texture in there. But maybe that's not as much as you want. Maybe it's too much, and maybe the depth of it is, you know, a little too extreme or whatever. You can go ahead back, change it back to medium so we can get it, and then go to your pencil there. And we want to drop that top down a little bit more. So right here, we're going to be watching this and just kind of play around with it till we get it to where we kind of like it. And we'll go ahead and change this here from a 10 to, I don't know, 8, and then hit enter. And then we'll go ahead and hit OK, and you can see it changed. And then we'll go back to our item here and bump it up to, and there we go. So you can see we're starting to get a little more different look and more of a nuggety type style, right? And let's see, what's our depth? If I go to, I don't want to dock that. Let me grab that, sorry. Let's go take a look at our right side here. So we're pretty close around that same height. So I'll probably okay with this height. Maybe a little about half of, and we can adjust that if we wanted to. So we'll just go ahead and take that, I guess, for that height. And maybe we want to play around with this a little bit more. We can go back in here, and right now I have it set to very high. So let's cancel out of that. I need to cancel that so I can go back to my medium. It just updates faster if you keep going back to medium. You could update it on high, but it'll maybe take a little bit longer. So it depends, I guess. We're not really doing a lot. We could probably keep it on high on this one here. I'll just go ahead, and I don't want to change that. I like the height. I'm going to go down here and maybe change this to 6 to take a look at it. And we'll go ahead and hit OK, and it changes our surface. And then we'll come back over here to we'll go to very high, and we can get a little bit of a better look. So you can kind of play around with that to get what you want, right? And actually, let's just say this is okay, but you know, right in here, it's kind of real jaggedy and stuff. We want to kind of maybe smooth that off a little bit. So one way to do it would be, this is, I think, by default set at 1, so we'll change it back to 1 here. Oh, 11, yeah, that would be pretty cool. 1, and then enter. Okay, so this is normally set at 1. We're going to change this back to medium. And we're going to go at fairing, right? That's what this is fairing. We're going to turn this on. You can't really see any difference in here. We're going to go ahead and put it back to very high now. And we have, you know, it's still kind of jaggedy and everything. What this does is it should smooth off these edges a little bit. And there's other ways to do about smoothing these off, but I'm not going to go into that on this video. I just want to keep it very simple. And then we'll come back and readdress, and you know, again, there's a lot of things we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and change this to a 4 and then hit enter. And you can see it starts to smooth off a little bit. Maybe take it up to a 6 and hit enter. And it kind of smooths it off some, you know. That's one way of doing it, right? I don't want to go back and make a huge mesh on this where there's tons of I want to kind of try and keep it as simple as possible for this content, but you can see we can really start to get a lot of more detail into it. So right, so let's go back here and let's maybe drag this down just a little bit more and hit enter, and then okay, and I'll take our tops down just a little bit, and we'll say this is okay. So we have our texture now, right? Okay, so we'll get rid of this here. And I'll click off of it, and then I'll try to grab my texture, right? I can't, right? I can't grab it. So what I need to do is I need to, I got it selected here. I went ahead and selected. Come to my command line and type extract. Oh, extract render mesh right here. Extract render mesh, right? And now it went ahead and did that, right? So now this is a separate surface than what this is here, okay? It's now its own surface. So what we want to do is, in order to, because we don't really need that original surface, right? We're going to go back and click that plane, go back to our options, and we're just going to uncheck that box, and now we have our plane back again, right? And we'll just go ahead and keep that. All right, and I'll take this textured surface and we'll change it to this green here, right? Well, actually, let's change it to a little bit different green. We'll change it to this one, okay? And now, right now, those blacks are still on my surface, right? And I want to maybe take them off my surface just a little bit. It's just me. I'm going to take it off the surface just a bit. Maybe a 0.1 or 0.2, something like that, just a little bit. All right, so I have something like this, and if we really zoom in here, that's a ton of polygons. It looks like a really mess, right? So what we want to do now, maybe because if I go and I try to turn on points on, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, how am I going to select any points in this mess? Now, really, you could probably do it. It's probably not that big of a deal, but we'll just go ahead and show another command here. I want to reduce this mesh. So I'm going to go in here and type in reduce mesh. Right? Reduce mesh. And then I can actually set, right now we have 105,000 polygons, right? So I'm going to reduce this down to, I don't know, maybe 30,000. I'll reduce it down to 30,000. We'll take a look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And you can see down here, it's reducing the mesh. What we want to do is keep an eye on it and see how much we're going to lose, if anything. Oh, I don't want to right click. Let's cancel out of that. And I'll click off of it. And we didn't really lose a lot, I don't think. I'm still pretty happy with this, right? So now when I turn on points, so I can just go down here to my command line and type on, click on the points option. There's not as many out there, so maybe a little bit easier to manipulate, right? And what we're going to do now is kind of come in here and we'll go to wireframe so we can kind of see what's going on in here, and we'll make this screen a little larger. Right, so we have all kind of points in there. Now what you don't want to do is select points by just clicking on one point, because that one point has tons of points connected to it. So we want to select by grabbing them all when we do it. So I'm going to go ahead and find my align command, right? I'm going to go ahead and click on line, and then it'll select objects to align. I'm just going to just kind of be picky, go in here and grab these points right here, right? Maybe this one here, I don't want it popped up there. That we can drag that one with it, I guess. And I'll go ahead and hit enter, and I'll go to bottom, right? And now I'm just going to snap to my plane there, right? And now I'm going to go over to this side, kind of get it in a little close here, and I'm just going to very nicely select those there. I'm going to right click, bring back that align command, go to bottom, and I'm going to snap those to that there. Now we'll go to our right view. And this one's a little bit harder to see because it's such a dense item. And I'm just going to go in here and select all those, kind of get it as close as possible. Select those, right click, bring back the align command, go to bottom, and then I'm going to snap it there. Okay, and then I'll go over to this side and same thing. I'm just going to very cautiously go in here, make sure I don't select a ton of extra ones. And then I'll right click, bring back the align command, go to bottom and snap there. Okay, and when I go back to look at my item, if we go to maybe a shaded mode here, a plastic mode, and then turn off those points, my line goes pretty much down to my server. It looks like I missed some, maybe like right here I can see inside. So let's go back. Looks like there's some edges there that might have missed. So let's put it all on plastic. Some points that we need to drag down. See those little yellow areas? So you got to be cautious. You don't want any kind of opening there. So we're going to go back, and I think it was around here. So we'll go here. We'll go ahead and turn on points on. Whoop. Click on here. Go to points on. And we'll just go ahead and grab a couple extra here just to make sure that we get everything we need, and we'll go back to that align command to bottom and snap it to our plane. All right, now let's take a look at it. Plastic mode, all views. Still have some, it looks like. We don't want those right there. See, if I go in there, it selects my viewport. It's not selecting my mesh. So what we're going to do is go back and do that again. Go points on. And this time we'll just go ahead and grab a bunch more. And then go to align, bottom, and select that, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And that closed up that side. Let's go ahead and turn off points. So now we don't have any yellow sticking out through there, right? Everything should be snapped. And this one looks like there's a little bit, so we'll have to do that. This one over here, just kind of check out, make sure. It looks like there's a couple spots on that, so let's go ahead and do that since we're in this viewport already. We'll go back, go turn our points on, and this time we'll select a little bit more in here, not a ton, just a little bit here, and go to align, bottom here, and let's turn those points off. And it looks like there's still a little bit. It looks like one spot, maybe. Yeah, one spot figures. You just kind of have to play around with it right there, right? I mean, you could turn points on here if you wanted to, I guess. Turn points on, and then, try and figure out which point that is. It looks like but you got to be careful and to grab all of those points in that area. So we'll just go ahead and just grab a little bit extra here. And then we'll go to align bottom to that end, and hopefully that closed it off this time. Turn off those points. Yeah, it looks like it did. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it got it this time. Yeah, okay. Let's check this side. Okay, so the ends there, we still have to close those up a little bit. So that would be on, so we did this side. That's the linked side, right? So let's go in here and turn those points back on. And we'll just select a little bit more here. And we'll go to align and bottom again and snap it to our end there. And which side did I do? Did I do that side or this side? It looks like this side's good. Yeah, that side looks okay. So maybe that's the side I did. Yeah, I think it is. And then we'll go back over here to this side and go to points on. And we'll just select a little bit more on this side just to close up that item, right? So we'll go to align, bottom, right there at our point, and we'll turn off those points, and this side looks okay. And that side now looks okay. So we should be good to go. It should give it that flow, that surface okay for us. And we'll find out here in a second. So now what we're going to do is go ahead to our Smartflow, and we are going to go ahead and select our bottom surface there. And I did not change that seam because I wanted to go ahead and show this. So we'll just go ahead here, and then object to flow will be our mesh. We'll hit enter, and it flows it up there, right? So maybe I could have gone a little higher on the height, but that's no big deal. And maybe a little bit more on the width, but let's go ahead and take that, right? And now what we can do, is go ahead and go to our right. Well, we'll do it from here so we can kind of keep an eye on everything. We'll go ahead and select our mesh, and then we'll just drag it up just a pinch. And there, now it's getting, and then we'll drag it maybe out just a pinch. So now it covers up everything, right? And it should be okay. So if we go to our right view and we take a look at it, it's going in, right? So let's turn it to wireframe. Yeah, there we go. Everything's going in, and maybe we should be okay for this. So let's go back to our shading. And now let's go ahead and select all this, and we'll just go ahead and hide it. All right. And oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. We have that little seam right there, right? So we probably want to get rid of that seam. So we just click it, and then just click on our little gumball there and bump it out a little bit, and it closes it off, right? And sometimes you'll have a little bit of a seam, but something like this, it's not really going to matter too much. But this one looks pretty good. So now what we want to do is go ahead, select that and hide it. And we should be able to just go ahead and grab our item and go to manufacturing and do a mesh repair, right? Hopefully. Sometimes you have to play around with it a little bit. Sometimes, if you take it way off your surface, it creates some issues. But most of the time it works pretty fine. You just got to make sure everything's lined up in there, right? So now we have a mesh, right? So we'll go ahead and hit enter, and we'll take that, let's see, we want the mesh, not the item. So we'll grab here, this mesh, and we'll just drag it out. And oh, wrong one. This, yeah, this one here is what we want. This is the entire mesh, right? And there you go. We have a nice little band with a nuggety inside texture on it, right? And you can do this kind of stuff with all kinds of different items. You know, and you know, the texture 3D is very good for many things, but if you really want a little bit more control, just go ahead and use your Rhino options in your texturing or your displacement tools, and that comes out pretty well, right? I think that's pretty good. And then if you go, you got a little, you can change it, make that a solid surface in your item, you know, before you flow it, and you can actually put them together. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but hopefully this gives you a little more insight on just how much control you really do have. And there's a lot more in there, and we'll go into depth. I know I got so many things going on, I apologize, but hopefully this will help you get a little bit better grasp on some of the texturing that you're able to do inside MG with Rhino help. And you also have your tools here as well that you can use. So hope this helps, and if it does, please go ahead, smash that subscribe button, buy me a cup of coffee, and leave a like, and definitely please leave a comment. So I'll talk to you later, and hope to see you on February 13th in the live show, 11 o'clock USA Central Time. So check your time zones and register at the link below. Good designing.